Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. On this episode, we're going to talk about some very disheartening news, for us at least, and probably for a lot of you guys. There was an article today where fans gathered to say goodbye to a legendary Sega arcade. The Sega Akibakuro Gigo has closed its doors for good on September the 20th. So basically, there was a mass gathering at this event to show support for this legendary game center. 28 years in business, 9-story building, just basically a landmark facility that's been there for 28 years in Tokyo, is shutting down. We'll talk about what our thoughts on this and hopes and dreams that have been dashed by all of us since we never made the holy trip to Mecca to go to this place. So, we all talked about going because this is like an iconic place for many years, but it's all the way over in Tokyo. Not a quick trip for us over here in the U.S. But there was a massive gathering. If you look at any videos or anything on there, they were huge gathering of people, a big event. This is probably something that everybody should have seen coming. I mean, back in 2020, I think they sold off like 85% of its arcade business already anyway. So, the owner, the whole franchise, it's, and I believe last year in 2020, also the other arcade that they own closed down. So for good. They're really saying that it wasn't COVID related or anything like that. It was the building was coming up for lease, and there was a lot of things behind that they didn't, the building needed updating and renovating. And, I can only imagine 25 years of having kids and adults running around playing arcade games and stuff like that can take its toll on a building. So very sad news, I think. But let's kind of go to the team and see what they think. So how about Nick? Take it away, Guy. Let us know what you think.
It's windy. No. Yeah, this sucks. I mean, arcades in the U.S. have pretty much died out unless you want to go to an amusement place such as Dave & Buster's or Incredible Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. That's about the only arcade experience you're going to get in the U.S. I mean, there are a few arcade places but they accompany something else, right? They're not just pure arcade places. They're like with putt-putt or batting cages or something like that to, because that's going to bring in more people than the arcades, unfortunately. So yeah, it's, arcades are dying in the U.S. and it was just a matter of time before that spread elsewhere, right? And now we're seeing one of the biggest arcade establishments in the world in Tokyo closing its doors, and that's sad. I love arcades. I mean, I remember, here when I was a kid, we had Aladdin's Castle, which was the best place to go for arcades. They had all the new arcade machines. I remember going in there and seeing the Mortal Kombat arcade machine when it first came out, and then the Tekken machine, and they had a giant screen for Tekken, and all the games in there, and it was Primal Rage and Killer Instinct, and the flying games and stuff like that. I mean, I love the arcade, and it sucks because you can't find them anymore. I mean, luckily we have a place here where we live, 1985 or 84 or something like that. Which is an awesome place. It has retro arcades, and it's an awesome place to go. 2 stories, and it's just full of arcade machines that you can play. And that's great because that's something I love. I miss the arcades and trying to find newer arcade machines, because there's a lot. They still make arcade machines, here and there. And I would love to play some of the newer ones that have come out. And some of those arcade games don't come to consoles and don't come to PC. They're just arcade only. And you unfortunately miss out on those experiences because we don't have that, especially here in the US. And now it's starting to die out elsewhere. And that really sucks because the arcade experience is unlike anything you can get at home. You cannot get that experience at home, regardless of how you do. Back in the day in the Super Nintendo and the Genesis and stuff, they're like, just like the arcade. No, it's not just like the arcade. Maybe the gameplay is like the arcade, but it's not the same experience. Putting your quarters up for a next fight, or going there and smelling the smell of puke and cheese pizza I mean, that's pretty much what the arcade was, right? And so, your parents or whatever would go to the mall, and you'd be like, they give you $20 to go to the arcade while they go through the mall, because that's where you're going to spend most of your time. That's what you wanted to do. And so they're like, sure, go in there. Here's $20, get you some quarters, and have at it. And then you'd be in there all day while they're going out shopping. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to see this establishment go under, or just decide to close their doors, because arcade games and arcade places are a dying breed, and that's just really sad. So what do you think, Shane?
Well, I'm disappointed. I just filled up the truck. I was going to make a trip there, but it's closed now. No, it
going
is,
over the international highway.
It is heartbreaking. It truly is. I have wanted to go for as long as I remember. I've wanted to go to Japan. I wanted to hit every gaming, everything there, to the food cafes, to the arcades, I want to go find Miyamoto's house and thank him. I've wanted to go to all these places, and it was one of those that just breaks my heart. Sega's had financial troubles off and on over the last 30 years. I mean, they were on top of the world when they released Sega, and then they were doing pretty good, and then they started fumbling, and then their games started fumbling. Besides the consoles, their games started to go down, and I don't know their overall true decision why they closed this one. But I do know that it couldn't have been an easy one. Even if it was financial, it could not have been an easy one. My heart goes to all the employees that have worked there all those years. But it's a place like that for guys like us is a dream. It truly is a dream. I mean, wall to wall arcade. I mean, that's all we want in life, is to have that set up at our house. It's it didn't catch me off guard, because I mean, that's the state of the world, state of gaming. There's multiple reasons it could have happened, so I'm not really caught off guard, but I definitely am heartbroken about it. I think, like you were saying, Nick, it's a dying thing. And now when you do find arcades at a place, they're $2, $2.50 a game. And that's hairy horseshit right there. I think it's just nuts, but they do it because most of them are put into children's playhouses. Chuck E. Cheese's, where a kid can go watch parents fight. You can go to Incredible Pizza, where you can pay for better pizza and better games, but you're paying a shitload more. And parents do it that take their kids there. I have never ate there. I've been there for the arcade, but I've never eaten there, because if I can afford to eat there, I can't afford the games, and vice versa. So it's ridiculously overpriced. That's the problem with those places. The three of us, the four of us, not Russ ain't here, we were heading down to St. Louis next week, and we were going to leave early so we can go check out an arcade. We're going to leave early so we can, find some cool stuff to do down there, because they're supposed to have some places that we checked out. So it upsets me greatly. I'm not surprised. I wished him 28 more years, but it's inevitable eventually, I guess, with just the state of the world right now. So, Pat, what about you, bud? I think I've rambled on enough to where I got a little tear dropping out.
Yeah, I mean, we all grew up. I grew up with arcades. I mean, we all did. I can remember going to like trades fairs when I was a kid, and they would have the latest video game arcade. I remember first time when games like Area 51 and stuff like that came out with guns and stuff, and you're like, this is kind of cool. I got a gun. I got foot pedals for Time Crisis or whatever, and you can, all that kind of cool stuff. And then, the whole time while the American arcade scene was shutting down, Japan's was still ramping up. I mean, we saw like all kinds of cool arcades that they're coming out with, the cool ideas, and we just don't get that anymore. Occasionally, we used to get cool arcades games that came to the movie theaters, and that doesn't even happen anymore. I remember playing the Star Wars TIE Fighter game and stuff like that. But that's a rarity anymore, especially around the Springfield area where we live. You know, arcades show up and shut down almost as quickly as they just show up. I mean, they've even tried to do so much as doing barcades in this town, and they don't last. But I mean, those were always fun. I would go out with my friends, and you could play arcade games as long as you're drinking for free. And I'm like, hell, who doesn't want to do that? You can drink and play them, but that's kind of a bad business practice when you consider a bunch of drunks around video games. They ain't going to last, you know, and I think that's what ended up happening with a lot of those. But since I've lived in Springfield, they've had, you know, numerous barcades that have opened and closed. And I am really surprised that 1984 has stayed open as long as it has, you know, because they're a pay for so many hours worth of play on everything except pinball machines. Pinball machines still cost because those things are notoriously horrible to maintain. But if we want the real arcade experience, you don't have that here. I mean, 1984 is as close as you can get, but it's all retro. It's nothing new. Even going to like Incredible Pizza, which everybody mentions around here, they don't really have arcade games. When you go in there, they have a couple of the cutesy little things, but they don't have like Area 51 or anything like that. They have the win cash prize tickets games, like get the ball to stop on this or skee ball and stuff like that, but nothing what I would consider arcade style games. So we are losing out here in this country on that. And Japan sounds like, you know, they're slowly going that way as too. I mean, the internet, you know, back in the day, you remember the, what was it? Video killed the radio star. Guess what? Internet killed the arcade pretty much, you know?
Yeah. Home consoles damn sure started putting the nails in those coffins. What's there's one place at the mall, Outdoor Air. Now they have, let's say 10, maybe 12 arcades, and most of them are fairly new, but they have some nice stuff. But again, you can't afford to play there. One, you have to go to the mall, and
half the time it's never open. Half the time when you go by there, the dang place is closed, and you're like, is there nobody manning it today?
Or they're just so many people shoved up on it, or the 1,000 children destroyed it, you know, but it sucks.
You're talking about that was that place where kids can climb and go through the balls and everything? They only have one arcade in there, which is the Halo Fire Team.
No, they have. I
don't think you're talking about urban. I don't think he's talking about the jump place and everything.
No, I'm sorry.
He's talking about the
one across from that. Actually.
Right. He's talking about the one next to the pretzel place.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. That place has changed names 100 times. That place used to be cool when it first opened. It wasn't too bad.
It did.
And then it's gone downhill since then. So
yeah, I mean, every time you turn around, they're selling half their arcades. So
and then like, you know, so we get like Andy B's, and occasionally they'll get a really cool arcade game in there, but it's out of order half the time because it's popular and people play the crap out of it and it breaks. But even they don't have a lot of arcade games. They have like 3 or 4 at any given time, and sometimes just one.
Yeah, I think the only one they have there that I truly enjoyed is the Aliens one they have. And it's really cool, but it's like $3-4 a goddamn play. That's bullshit. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, we're going to see more and more of this. And guys, we have to get to Japan soon before it's all gone.
Everything's going to close down by the time we get there.
Oh,
yeah, you're not going to have the Capcom cafes and all that stuff. They're going to be closed. We're going to go to like, what is it, Akihabara or whatever, and they're not going to have anything there. It's no longer going to be known as like the digital district or anything. And I mean, like I don't know what's going to be. It's the internet district now, guys.
Yep, it's just one console. It's an emulator. Yeah, it sucks. You know, I keep telling Cindy, you know, it's like, honey, you know, my health is going down every time we go see the doctor. It's getting worse. We got to get over there. And she's like, we can't all go. Well, I didn't say we all go.
I said me.
I can go by myself.
I'm going to take 3 people with me, okay? And that's Nick, Patrick, and Russ.
And they're all paying for their damn self.
Damn straight.
But yeah, we've talked plenty of times in the past about doing that. We've all talked about wanting to go to the arcade there, but that ain't happening now anymore. I'm not sure. I'm sure they probably still have some very large arcades, but this is like a well-known one. You know, I mean, a 9-story arcade building, or is it 9 or 6 stories? I can't remember. I think it was 9 stories.
9.
Yeah, I mean, come on, 9-story arcade building just insane. Like imagine the games packed into that place at any given time. But we're going to miss out on that. We're not going to get to see that. You know, that's the trials and tribulations of everything costing a lot of money, and traveling international costs a lot of money. So we all would love to have an arcade. I think we're all smart enough to know that an arcade, especially in this country, in the U.S., and even in our city, is a waste of money and time, or else we'd all have one already. You know, because I think between the four of us, we could run a business of an arcade, but I guarantee you it couldn't even have the salary to keep one of us, you know, out of the poorhouse. So it's sad news, but it's unfortunately the times we're living in where arcades are going away. I mean, they're going the way of the bookstores and all that kind of stuff. They're just dying out. You know, anything that's we can all think about from our childhood that's gone. I mean, I used to love going to like Heather's Electronics or Radio Shack to get components to build whatever I'm building, and now that's just impossible. There's no such thing anymore. You have to buy it all online.
Or software, etc.
Software, etc. Yeah,
it's all gone.
Or what was the other one? Was it EB Games or whatever? Babbage's, yeah.
There's Hastings, which Hastings is still online.
Right, but
Circuit City.
Yeah,
Circuit Shitty.
Now you got GameStop around here, and you know I don't even. They're changing their motto. They're going to something else. I can't remember what their new business plan is.
GameStop's just trying to stay afloat. Is all they're doing.
Right?
They're changing everything. They're changing every 5 minutes just to stay afloat.
Yeah, GameStop. Their new logo is GameStop. Please buy our stocks.
Right,
please buy something. Stay in business.
Yeah, please buy something. That's why they sell everything but video games, and the video game section is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
For sure.
All right. Yep. It's sad news. Very sad for history. You know, 28 years running, and you know they just shut down. I mean, I was glad to see the outpouring from the community and fans out there, because it was from the videos that I saw, it was a massive amount of people around this arcade, and hopefully, whatever it was that caused them to shut down, I hope maybe it's a temporary thing, but, you know, they said it's permanent, but we can all hope it's temporary and that they'll open back up. Maybe the building will get renovated and they'll be like, we really want you back. Come back, you know? Yeah. So, but we all know that arcades are a time and money sink, or else we would own one. Anybody else got anything they want to, you know, put out there before we put this one to bed?
No.
Bring it back. Let's just bring it back.
Well, bring it to the U.S. I want to go.
Bring me your stock. I will hold it for you until you open up a new one. Yeah. I got you guys.
Yeah. So the world
soon. Shane's Arcade.
Shane's Basement Arcade.
My wife would shit an egg roll.
Well, fans and ITD say goodbye to Sega Akiboro Gigo. We hope you open back up. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you think. If you've ever been, let us know too. We'd like to, you know, I'd like to see pictures from the inside and stuff like that, you know. So let us know what you guys think. You know, drop us some comments if you've been, or if you had plans to go and now they're crushed just like ours. Dreams are crushed. Let us know what you guys think. We hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next.
See ya.